Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Be Honest podcast. Today I have Rachel. I actually found Rachel on Instagram after one of her posts went pretty viral, right? It went pretty viral.
Yeah, unexpectedly, it really did.
And I mean, it makes sense why it went viral. And, your post was about having to cut off one of your best friends of 11 years because your best friend at the time did not support your way of life, hence, being gay.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine breaking off an 11-year friendship, but I am proud of you that you did that. Because it takes a lot. It really does. But anyways, sorry. Anyways, because we will talk about this later.
We won't.
Anyways, before I get ahead of myself, we just have a lot to talk about. You have your own little lavender, what is it called? Lavender Lounge, like
Yes,
gay
Lavender Events. Yeah.
Lavender Lounge Events. Before we jump in and talk about all that, everyone welcome Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I'm so excited to jump into it. As you can see, I'm like, let's talk about it. But then I have so many other topics we need to talk about before it. So
No.
I just need to calm down.
I'm so excited. But also thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and talk about all the things that we have.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. When we were on the phone talking, like however long ago that was, you
Yes.
kept like bringing up things about your life. And I'm like, this girl is so interesting. Like,
Oh,
she has been through a lot and she has experienced a lot. And I don't know, I was just like, I don't know, you're just a very interesting person. So I'm like, I'm
really?
so excited to figure out more about you.
I
So,
appreciate that.
okay, so our first topic is just going to be your sexuality. Okay. We're going to dive into that first. So, first question: when did you know you were gay?
Oh, gosh. Well, this is a hard one to answer because I feel like if I look back, there were signs that I was gay from very young.
Yeah.
But when I knew I was gay, I was 21. I'm 25 now. So
Okay.
21, maybe I don't know if you could even class that as a late bloomer because I know actually now, obviously 40s and 50s it's so
Yes.
but yes, I knew for sure when I was 21, I had this gut feeling that okay, something's up here, definitely not straight. But looking back, there were signs when I was like 14. I think we can all relate. There's always a sign, lots of signs earlier on.
Always, always a sign. I remember when I was younger. Have you guys ever heard of Orange is the New Black?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you're asking me, but if you're asking them,
I'm asking you, like, have you?
yes.
Oh, okay, just making sure. I know I sound like an idiot, but you live like super far away, so I just wanted to make sure. Did you watch it? Like, do you know the characters at all?
I do. So actually, Orange is the New Black has I mean, I don't know if you would call it interesting experience in my coming out situation, but I did not watch Orange is the New Black until last year. And I've only watched up to like season 3, so no spoilers.
Okay, yeah.
But what I will say is I actually refused to watch Orange is the New Black when I was younger because I had internalized homophobia and I was not ready to deal. But we can get into
Wow.
that. That was something I was thinking about actually in the last few days. But yes, I love Orange is the New Black.
That is so interesting. Yeah, no, we will definitely talk about internalized homophobia 100%. But
Yeah.
the whole reason why I brought this up
Yes.
is because when I was younger, when did it first come out? Like, I want to know. I don't know. It was,
2000,
yeah, it's like 2000 something. It's been a minute.
I want to
It's,
say 9, but I could be wrong. It could have been even, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
who knows? It's been a minute. And
know.
I was watching it before I knew I was gay. And I saw Ruby Rose, is that her name? Ruby Rose? She's like one of the
Yes.
characters
Yes.
on there. That's like her actual like name, like in real
Yes.
life. And it was so funny because I would be watching it and I would see her and I'd be like, oh my God, there's something is happening inside my body.
Mhm.
Like, this is not normal. And I would tell my sister, was like, yeah, I don't feel that way towards any of these women, Kinley. So like maybe. And I was like, no, there's no way. And of course, me denying it is that internalized homophobia, which we will get into. But
Yeah.
yes, those were moments as well in my life where I was like, I guess I didn't want to like acknowledge like this is me, like this might be a sign of me being gay. It was more of me being like, that girl's very pretty, but it was more than that, and my brain didn't want me to, like, dig deeper into that. It was just, you know what I mean? So it is interesting to think about
Yeah,
the moments of when, like, little things like that happened, and it was
the
like, "Kinley,
moment.
come on, like, you knew you were gay, like, you just you were just, in denial." So,
It's so hard, it's so hard, but it's so interesting to look back on and be like, "Wow, okay.
huh?
I can see what was going on there."
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm trying to think of how to word this. So, you said, like, there were certain moments when you
Mhm,
knew you were
mhm.
gay. Was there anyone or anyone in specific?
Yeah,
Okay,
I have
who or
I
what was
actually
it?
have 3 top moments that for me feel very significant. Number 1, which I this isn't related to any TV show or anything like this, but I actually moved high school when I was 14. We were just moving cities. There was this one girl in one of my classes who I could not, I remember for one whole year of my life, like I could not stop thinking about her every single day. Like it was overwhelming. I remember being really scared of these feelings because at the time I didn't know what that was. I just
Mhm.
thought I knew something was up because why could I not stop thinking about her? It was just really strange. And I remember if I would talk to her, I would be like really nervous. And I just thought she was really pretty. And yeah, that was a sign, 100%. Um,
Oh.
Second sign, I feel like I don't know how niche this is. I talked about it on my TikTok, and actually, a few people were like, "Yes, I get this." So I was really surprised. But have you ever seen Rizzoli and Isles? I
No?
feel like you haven't. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's like a cop show, American,
Okay.
and it's Rizzoli is the cop, really hot. Go and look her up after this because she's really
I'm
hot.
like, I wanna look her up right now. What is this called?
Rizzoli and Isles. So
Okay,
Rizzoli.
Rizzoli. Oh my god, this is, like, older,
Really
right?
old. Yeah. I mean, no,
Okay,
but yeah,
which
quite old.
one? Which
So it's
one?
the one with the dark hair.
I love that. It's so funny. It's like bringing me back to like I remember watching this, but like
You've
a
seen
long time ago. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
she's absolutely, yeah. But what it was for me was in one of the episodes, Rizzoli and Mora, the two main characters, they were at some car body shop place and they pretended to be girlfriends. Obviously, we know like that's really we shouldn't be doing that now. But anyway, putting that aside, I remember watching that and seeing them together and thinking, "Oh my god, this is really hot." And thinking, "Oh, I really want this to be me." Like I had a visceral reaction and I must have been about 14 or 15 at the time and I still remember it to this day. So, yeah, that was a huge one for me.
You're like, I don't know what's going on here, but I like it.
I do. I do. I was so confused. Oh my god, and I thought I was looking around, I was watching with my mom and sister and I was like, "I don't feel like anybody else is feeling how I'm feeling right now." Like they
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was with Orange is the New Black. I would be like sitting there watching it and I'm like, I am feeling a certain way, and I think this girl's like really hot. Like it wasn't like and that's kind of like what you were saying, like the girl in your class, you had like this infatuation with her, but it wasn't like a friend infatuation. It was like another level, but your brain was like, what is this? That's kind of how it was. I was like, what is this? It's interesting. I've never had this feeling with a friend though, like a girl that I
No.
was like friends with, which is interesting. I think it's because my brain, honestly, I don't know why, because I have like beautiful friends. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I wonder why I've never thought this way. But yeah, it was always with like celebrities growing up. I was always like, huh. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally know what you mean, and I really relate, and to be honest, I'm quite glad that I
Mhm.
didn't have that with any of my friends. I think that would have added so many layers to coming out that would have been really scary. But I think it's quite unusual for us two to not, because I think it's really common for people to have crushes on their friends and it be
Yeah.
something more. But yeah, I've never had that.
Yeah, because I've had so many people on this podcast and they're like, yeah, I actually fell in love with my best friend. And I'm like, it's like,
Oh,
oh, but I'm like, oh my God,
no.
that has never happened to me. Like I've had so
No.
many people talk about that. And I'm like, that has
I
never happened to me.
And I also think like it can be so risky because one, you don't know. I mean, maybe they might not be gay. And if they're not, then there's that whole thing. But also if they're gay, they might also not be interested. Like, I don't know. I hope that it works out for people, but that must be so challenging.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like that friendship dynamic. It's like once you tell them you like them,
Yes.
it could go amazingly or it could be
Or
like,
the end.
girl.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah.
And then it makes things weird, and then it changes up the dynamic. That's the worst.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so when was your actual coming out story? Like, you were like, "Okay, I'm gay. I need to come out."
Okay, so a little bit to foreshadow this is that in 2020, obviously we had worldwide pandemic. We all had a lot of time to think about life, ourselves, our mental health. And I slowly but surely, the more time I had, these feelings that I've been suppressing for years started coming up. And I landed on gay TikTok, I'm pretty sure, but I not massively, just a few videos here and there. And I was like, okay, something's going on here. And I remember I was living with three other girls at university at the time. And I had this dream where there was somebody chasing me with a knife. And I remember very clearly, I woke up the next morning and my flatmate came through and I told her, and I thought, I said, this dream just happened. And she was like, let's look up the symbolism of why that might be. And the symbolism was, if you have a knife, like weapon in one of your dreams, you have a huge secret in your life you're hiding from everybody. And when she read that out, my stomach sank because I thought, oh my God, this is so true. Like, I knew deep down something was up with my sexuality. I didn't feel straight, and I knew I was hiding it from people. So that was extremely overwhelming and very scary. And I was not ready to deal with that. So I pushed that all away. And come into 2021, these feelings weren't going away. My mental health was like diminishing really massively. And I went to a therapist and I started working through some of this and trying to figure out what to do about it. And June rolls around, obviously, Pride Month. And I remember just feeling like I cannot possibly go through another Pride Month not being my truest self. Because at that time, I was heavily on TikTok posting, and I just felt like I was lying to myself and everybody in my life. So my coming out is kind of, in my head, quite crazy because I was on the first night of a week-long holiday with my family in a small static caravan, miles and miles away from my home. And I filmed a video and I posted it to TikTok. I didn't tell anybody in my life. Like, it was insane. I didn't tell anybody in my life. And I posted the video shaking, like so scared. And I remember thinking, oh, my mum, she follows me. Like, she's following me. She is going to scroll through TikTok and she's going to see this, and I haven't said. So I called my mum through and I showed, I couldn't even utter the words. Like, honestly, we'll get into the whole internalized homophobia more, but it was very scary. I couldn't utter the words. So I just showed her the video and she looked at it, and then my dad comes through and I'm bawling my eyes out and they're like, what's going on? And it was a lot. But my coming out was, I came out on social media. And so I just thought, you know what, I can't bear the thought of telling everybody in my life. Let's just go big or go home. But the
Yeah.
one thing I will say about when I was coming out was that I didn't come out as anything. My video, which is still there to this day, people can scroll back on my page, is I just sit in front of the camera and I put words on the screen. And I said, I don't know what I identify as, but I feel like I'm lying to everybody when I say I'm straight. And I wanted to just be honest about that. So yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, but that was how I came out.
Oh, so oh my God, so y'all were on vacation, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when, like, you posted the video and you were like, "Oh my God, my mom is gonna see this, so I need to tell them."
Yes. Yeah.
Oh
First.
my goodness. Did
Oh
the
my.
vacation, like, did that change up, like, the dynamic? Like, did you have support from your family? Like, how did
No.
that dynamic work?
It definitely changed the vacation in the sense that for me, I was just kind of like, this is a lot. This is a lot. I remember I'd posted it and I remember thinking, we're about to go and we're meeting up with my family's friends. And I was thinking, oh God, if any of them have seen the video, like, I'm just not able to deal with this. I don't want to talk about it. So I remember just feeling really on edge the whole time we were on holiday. In terms of coming out to my parents have been wonderful. They have accepted me wholeheartedly and I have been very lucky. In saying that, what I will say about when I came out was, for them, it was very confusing. Because I didn't come out as anything, for them, they didn't understand how I was having these feelings if I didn't know. So
Mhm.
there was a bit of stuff there because it was like, oh, and we add the layer of I came out to social media. So they were really worried for me. They loved me and they couldn't care less. It was never about my sexuality. It was about me being comfortable in who I am and knowing. And so for them, they were just worried about what it would mean that I've come out in some way on social media, and what if I realized I was straight. And I
Mhm.
remember saying to them, and I said, but that shouldn't matter. And I knew it wasn't going to happen. Like, that you're something. But I knew that even if that was the case, that it shouldn't matter because maybe that would help somebody. But
Yeah.
I was gay, obviously.
Obviously.
But yeah, and that so it changed the dynamic for a while, and I just felt really on edge because I was confused, my family was confused. Again, the whole stereotype of get gay people have a look, which we're learning that that is not the case. But
Mhm.
I was like, why do I feel like I'm gay when I look so feminine? And I guess my parents thought the same because I've only ever dated men and talked about men at that point. So they were like, what? I don't understand. You went on a date last Tuesday, for example, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was interesting. But once I figured it out, they've always been amazing, but they were like, I'm so glad and we're so happy for you that you know who you are. So I've been very lucky. I really have.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing stories of people coming out and their family being accepting because unfortunately, that's not the case with a lot of people and it makes me so sad. I had
Yeah.
a good experience as well. So
I'm so
I have nothing to complain about. My mom was the one that was like she was very accepting, but it was like, I need to ask you questions because I'm curious. Like, what does this mean? Or like, can you still
yeah.
have kids? And I'm like, yes, mom, I can still have freaking kids. Like, it just might look a little different, but I can still have kids and like, but yeah, I had a good experience
I'm
and it was
so glad.
great. Yeah, it
It's
was.
sad because it should be the norm. It should be the norm. One, we shouldn't have to come out, but even at that we do, you should just be able to come out and it be okay. And it does make me so sad. And hearing stories of it going well is sadly kind of few and far between. And I just really wish that that wasn't the case. And it really does break my heart. But I do hope that we're getting into better places. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like we're not.
Oh, especially in
Oh,
America.
yeah,
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's funny. One of my hot takes on one of my episodes was, um, y you shouldn't have to feel like you have to come out. Like, people
yeah,
shouldn't have to feel like they have to come out because it should be
yeah.
a norm. Like, why does it matter? Like, if you're straight,
You
you're
never,
not going
yeah,
yeah, if you're straight, you're not gonna be like, "Hey, I am, in a relationship with a guy." Like, I mean, you might wanna tell your family, like, "I'm in a relationship," but it doesn't have to be this big thing, like,
yeah,
how I it's so, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, girl. I can talk about this forever. I hope we are in the right direction, um, and hopefully we are. I don't know how it is in, like, other countries. I mean, I try to stay
yeah,
as, like, educated on things, but in America, there's so much going on that I'm just like it's
yeah.
scary. Like, I have had friends that are in queer relationships, and they're going and getting married because there's, like, all of these things that are being talked about how Trump is
Yeah,
trying to take away gay marriage and all this stuff, and it's like
and
it's scary, and they're like, "Well, if you get married now, he can't take it away," and it's just like, oh, it's just like, why is this even a thing?
yeah,
There's guns that are being abused here by trigger warning, like, going to schools and shooting up kids. It's like, why can't we freaking focus on that? But instead,
and
we're
focusing
s
on the minute people who are just existing and being happy at that, and they're not allowed. We're not allowed. Yeah, it
yeah.
does break my heart, and also hearing that as well, it's like getting married should be the happiest day of your life, and it shouldn't be because we have to do this so quick because our rights are being stripped away from us. Like, that is just not okay. I actually have shivers, like, just thinking about that. It's heartbreaking. It really
It's
is.
insane because we're just humans wanting to love
Yeah,
other people, and God forbid it's the same gender, the same sex, whatever. It's just
I
like
know. Like, what? Like, when it actually, honestly, when you break it down, it's laughable, but like, it's also not. It's just like, how can you genuinely be so passionate about it being wrong? Like, we are human beings. We came into the world the exact same way. We exist. We are who we are. Like, how can you hate us? I do not understand. I
well,
never.
it's because most of it stems from religion,
Mm,
unfortunately,
we'll get
and
into
that's a
that.
whole other yeah, that's a whole other topic. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We will yap forever, so let me get
No,
back
I
on track.
prefer to, yeah.
Okay, so you had support when you came out, that's great. Um, you told me that you struggled with a lot of internalized homophobia. So,
Yeah.
tell us about that and
Yeah.
why do you think you
Yeah.
struggled with it?
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I mean, I struggled with it for a very long time. Like I said, there were a few signs early on when I was younger and in my teenage years, and I'll share one example of when I realized, okay, yeah, you've definitely got some internalized homophobia there, except probably didn't realize that's exactly what it was at the time. I remember watching a show called Dance Academy on Nickelodeon. I don't know if people have seen it. And I remember there was an episode where these two guys were kissing. And I remember watching it and I was like, oh my God. I felt so uncomfortable. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. I felt so uncomfortable because inside I knew that there was something going on. And that made me realize like this is a thing. And so this is just to say that was probably when I was 14 or 15 years old and it went back years. So there was so much there. And I love that people are coming out and finding it a lot easier in this day and age, which is amazing. But for me, I remember I would stay awake at night thinking about it and just terrified, thinking that there was no possible way that anybody would ever be okay with me being gay. Like, I didn't think that there would be a version of me who could ever be out. Like, I really, truly thought that for the rest of my life, this would be my biggest secret and I would go to the grave with it. And that terrified me.
Can
And
I
I was,
ask you something
yeah,
real quick? Sorry.
oh, you're fine. Jump in, jump in.
Like, let me interrupt you real quick. So you have these feelings that, oh my
Yeah.
God, if I were to come out, I won't be accepted. Like, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to like be outly gay. Like, and maybe
Yeah.
you're getting to this. I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself. Of course, this is what I tend to do. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm so sorry. It's okay.
But did something like were you surrounded by people that were like against gay people, or was it just like,
Yeah,
because I think about this a lot. I'm like, where does internalized homophobia stem from? Because like me, for example, like of course I feel like every person struggles with it to an extent, and if you don't, that's amazing.
I'm
But
so
I
happy.
think about it and I'm like, I grew up with gay people all around me, super
Yeah.
accepting. My parents were never like weird about it. So
Yeah.
anyway, sorry. I just wonder, like,
Yeah.
what do you think made your brain think such like bad things?
I love you that you've asked that question. And honestly, it's something I think about quite a lot because I don't know. I
Yeah.
honestly don't know. Like you say, I didn't my parents are great. There was never ever mentions of, well, gay marriage is wrong, gay people are wrong. There was none of that from certainly from my parents. Um, and my parents have got gay friends. So I saw them and it's like there for me, I find it very confusing why I felt this way. I wonder partly if it was the fact as simple as there wasn't enough representation. That because there was nobody who I saw who was like me being gay and being celebrated, I think I saw messages in society, through seeing social media and magazines that it was wrong.
Mhm.
That that was where I picked up on it. That's the only way I can explain why I felt the way I felt because I didn't have people in my life saying it was wrong. So it was very
Yeah.
confusing. I
Yeah.
will I will foreshadow something though, which was, in fact, I did have a message of it being wrong, but this was when I was probably about maybe 15 or 16. So I was quite young still. This said friend that I had to cut off. I'll never forget it. We were driving in the car one day and I don't even know how it came up. And I just remember her saying, she was like, gay marriage is wrong. Gay marriage is wrong. It's not okay. And couldn't tell you what the context was and why we were speaking about it. But yeah, I definitely had that. But again, that was one part of my life. This was a whole bigger aspect that I don't know why. Very,
No, I mean, like, and how you explain it is good because, like, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, you came from a family and, like, an
yeah,
environment where, like, the most of the people around you were accepting. You didn't really hear a bunch of hateful things besides
yeah,
that friend that you had. But it does make sense that, like, unfortunately, in this world, there's, like, this stigma around gay people. And it's,
yeah,
like, one of those things where it's, like, at least with me, it's funny whenever I meet new people. It's so funny. I'm such a blunt person. Like, I'm like, because if they're straight,
yeah.
I have to make sure they're okay with gay people
Oh,
because I
of
love my
course.
straight friends. Like, I love them. Like, but they have to be allies. They have to be able to go to Pride with me. Like, they have to be like a super
So,
ally. They can just be
yeah,
like, yeah, they can't just be like, Yeah, they're cool, like, whatever, and so every single time I, like, meet someone that's straight no, like, no offense to straight people, but you get what I'm saying, um, I always have to make sure, like, what is your view on this? Because it is unfortunate, like, this world, like, there's so many people that think negatively, so I honestly do think what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense, you know, like, we were
Yeah,
surrounded by love, but we do see things on the internet, we do see that, like, religion, for example, can be very negative,
yeah.
um, towards the LGBTQI+ community, so it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, in the back of our head, we're like, "Well, we don't think it's wrong,
Yeah.
and most of the people around me don't think it's wrong." But it is this weird thing in this world where it's do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to, like
Oh, yeah, I
like
do. It just through I don't know, you just know that it's not the norm. It's so clear it's not the norm, and that people I just remember people being uncomfortable about it. I had a gay friend when I was 18, and I don't know, I remember him there was just something about it. I just remember it's like it's not an easy thing. Like people don't treat you the same, or at least certainly in years past didn't. And you
Yeah.
just know that it's not the same as straight people. And when you're talking about your life as a gay person, there's this element of, well, that's different. And it shouldn't be. Like we're just existing and being gay and maybe dating the same gender, but like we're dating for the same reason, hopefully,
Yeah.
that we
We're
find our
we're
love. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
confusing.
girl. I know. I think about this so often, and I like how you use the word, like, different because in this world It is like different to be gay. You know,
Yeah.
not really, but, you know, that's what people think. It is different to be gay, and people correlate the word different to being, like, negative. And in
Yeah.
my brain, I'm like, if someone's different, I applaud them for it. Like, I think it's amazing because it's not the norm. Like, you know, if
Yeah,
you see,
yeah,
like, a hetero couple walking down the street, like, I'm like, "Amazing, y'all are beautiful, whatever," but I see someone that may look a little, you know, um they
fruity,
how do what'd you say?
fruity.
Fruity, but I was also gonna say, like, unique, like, maybe they're wearing
Oh,
stuff that,
sorry,
like,
yes,
are
yes.
out of the norm. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
think of, like, just in general. I'm always like,
Oh,
I may not wear that, but I think it's amazing that you have the confidence and, like, you know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah,
may not understand why you're wearing that, but I'm like,
yeah.
"Period." You know? Like
I think so too. And I think as well, we live unfortunately in such a judgmental society that anybody who dares to step out of the norm, whatever that is, I just think yeah, applaud them. Like, go you. I love the confidence and wearing clothes that make you feel amazing and confident is like, you deserve to do that. And I'm just like, you're the coolest. I need to pick up on your confidence. But yeah,
Exactly.
I hate how judgmental society is because it's
It's
like, you should just be
horrible.
able to do the coolest things and wear the coolest clothes and not be like judged for it, you know?
And it's funny because usually the most unique, different people are the ones that, like, get famous because they're so unique and they're so,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like, and famous might have been a stretch, but you know what I mean? Like, it's always, like, the super I don't know, it's I don't know. At least on my For You page on TikTok, it's always, like, people that are just very eccentric, is that the word? Is that the right
Yes,
word?
that's it. That's it. Yes.
Yes, and I'm like, "I love this," you know?
Yes.
Like
I love it too. That
yeah.
you there's this girl, Maddie. I can't remember her user. She's pretty huge now on TikTok. She's a like an English creator. Oh my god, she is hilarious. Seriously, and but she is so like if this had been years prior, people would have made fun of her and would have gone, "Oh, you're weird, you're different," and been horrible. But she has grown a following out of her uniqueness and her just being unapologetically herself and goofy
Mhm.
and silly. And it actually is the most incredible. Like, honestly, her videos are so funny. I will show you who she is at the end because you need to go and find her. She's just so funny, and she's just herself. And it's like it makes you laugh, and it like makes you realize, wait, I can just be silly. Why am I
Yeah,
caring?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, like and, like, podcasts aren't really, like, unique and different, but, like, I'll just use this as an example, like, I was nervous to start a podcast because
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to be like, "Oh, Kinley's trying to be an influencer." Like, you know
Oh,
what I mean? Or like, why is she doing that? Like, that's kind of like, I don't know, I'm from a small town in Texas, and so I don't know, it was just something that was different. And
yeah.
so I was nervous to do it, but then it's
You've
like,
yeah. You've done
like
amazing. You should be so proud.
thank
Seriously.
you. I know, and now I'm like, screw everyone
Yeah.
respectfully because I'm doing the damn thing. And you just gotta be yourself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what we're trying to say, guys. Just be yourself. Okay, so internalized homophobia. Were there any other, I mean, I'm sure there were other situations that you can remember where you
Yeah.
had internalized homophobia. Do you want to share those, or no? Like, is there anything in specific that you're like, oh, I remember this one time and that was like really
I
difficult?
think yeah, I think the main ones that I was speaking about, that watching that show and,
Mhm.
I guess that's the main one for me, but it really just came down to actually how I felt within myself. I just remember for so long. I remember when I was 18 years old, I was in the car with my mom and I don't know what it was. There was just this thought in my head and I just went, "Mom, like what if I liked women?" And then we spoke about it and we were like, "Wait, what? Why? That would be different. That would be like." And
Yeah.
I remember that conversation and I don't know what it was. I knew I felt really uncomfortable and I put that down for another 3 years because I just thought, no, I don't know. The main one was that one when I was watching that TV show. And I think it was just then years and years of feeling so horrific about myself. And I will emphasize that it was so extreme. I can laugh about this now because it's actually insane to think about. But it emphasizes and breaks my heart that this was how awful I felt and was worried. Was that before I came out, I decided I really wanted to go and travel Canada. That was something I'd always wanted to do. My mum's was born in Canada, and I just thought, right, that would be really cool. So knowing how I felt about that and knowing how scared I was to come out, I really didn't think, like I said, I one could come out or two exist in my area as an out woman. So I got a visa to move to Canada. Quite literally. I thought I'm
Period.
going to have to leave the country. And that is insane. It is insane. That actually, like I say, I laugh about it now because I'm just like, silly girl, like you're so loved, but also you're so understandably valid with how society's portrayed people's reactions to sexuality and people coming out. But yeah, I was like, this is going to go so bad that I thought, right, I'll come out to everybody. I'll tell you who I am, and then I will just get the hell out of here.
Oh
And
my
it's, yeah,
goodness. You straight up applied for a visa.
I literally did. I spent considerable amount of money. I never moved, by the way, never did it because COVID got like there were so many things with that. I just couldn't leave the country, unfortunately, because I really thought that was the only way. But yeah, like I really say that to emphasize, like, it was awful. And I remember I got to a point where I was struggling so much that I was really struggling with depersonalization. I don't know if you've ever experienced that or had anybody talk about that before.
Mm, I don't think so.
So, depersonalization is when you basically feel very detached from your existence, from who you are. So it's a very terrifying feeling. Like you will look at yourself in the mirror and you will honestly feel like you're losing your mind. You're like, who is this person? You know it's you, but you're like, who is this? It like you can get like derealization. Like you feel like you're losing your mind. And I was having depersonalization. Didn't feel like I was like attached to who I was. The weirdest thing. And it was because I started struggling so intensely with who I was. And I remember I posted a video to TikTok. Nobody knew what it was about. I knew that I was meaning about my sexuality. And I just said, look, I'm really struggling right now. This is a really horrific time in my life. And my mental health is being really affected. And I didn't tell anybody what it was. And that was me knowing that my internalized homophobia had got to the point where it was like, I knew I had to deal. And that was the catalyst for me going to therapy, because I thought if I don't go to therapy and get help, I'm really scared for what will happen to my mental health. Yeah, I just knew that I was really scared that if I didn't deal with it, that I would get to a point where I was like, can I do this anymore? And I did not want. I'd fought too hard to get through every other mental health struggle I was like, I have to do this. So yeah, that was
It's
yeah.
so interesting. Like, and it hurts me to know that you like really struggled with internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Like, to the max, and that makes me
Yeah,
so sad to think that you had to go through that. And then I also am thinking like you're I'm sure a lot of people go through the same thing that you do, but it's interesting to think like yours was so extreme, but
yeah,
people around you were so loving, so I wonder why it was so
yeah,
extreme. Like you were
yes, yeah,
you planned on moving to Canada, and I'm not guys, I'm not being insensitive. She's laughing about it because we are in a better place now. You had
yeah.
so much love around you. Like I really that's just so interesting.
I just and I've done, I don't know, I've done so much thinking and reflecting on, growing up, and it's like I don't know. It would make more sense that if I had been shouted at and yelled at, you can't be
Mhm.
gay, like not literally shouted, but you know what I mean? Just it being so loud that it's wrong. But I just think it was subliminal messaging from society. I think seeing every single show, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, all the movies, all the romance movies, there was only ever a man and a woman. That was all that I ever saw and that anybody else saw. And the only person that I had was Ellen DeGeneres. I don't think I said that. Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes.
That was that everybody relates their queerness, I feel like, to that. And that's what we saw. And I just knew that that wasn't me. And so I
Yeah.
was like, this just feels so, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think, or I guess not weird, just confusing to think that I struggled so deeply. But what was the reason? Society, I guess.
Society in the way that the LGBTQI plus people are portrayed. And
Yeah.
it's like totally not true. Oh my God, I watched this Jubilee. Have you ever seen Jubilee? It's like on YouTube.
I Georgia Bridgers was on it, right?
Yes.
I think I haven't seen it. I just know that she was on it. I know that I don't really know the concept. They go on, I believe
So
her was trying to guess the straight. Is that right?
she's
Yeah.
so
Yes,
funny.
yes, yes.
She 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 came on my podcast and she was
I
talking
know,
about
I
it and
know.
she was like, "Girl, I thought all of those people were gay. I guess I'm just bad at it." But anyways, the Jubilee videos like they're all different.
Yeah.
All of the concepts
Oh,
are different, but I think it's Jubilee.
it
Maybe
rings
it's
a
a
bell.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I know I watch Jubilee, but there's also these other um
Yes.
groups on YouTube that also do like big controversial like circles where people come and they talk. But anyways,
Yeah.
there was this video of this man talking about the LGBTQI plus community and he was like this
Mhm.
conservative man that like wasn't educated about it at all. And
Yeah.
he was talking about how like we're hypersexual and how we all have mental health issues and how like the drag queens are like trigger warning, but like being sexually weird to children and all of this stuff. And I'm like, this is why
Yeah.
people that are like ignorant, they listen to this man and they're like, oh, like that must be true. And I'm like, and so that was my example. It's like, it's sad
Yeah.
because people like that are spewing all of this bullshit.
And there's
And
they're
yeah,
so uneducated,
so
but because they're
uneducated.
so loud and because they're so confident about their uneducated views, people believe them. They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, that makes sense." And
Yeah.
it doesn't. And I think their voices somehow are louder and seem to be more amplified than the ones like us who really are the ones who can speak about our experience, our existence. It just,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let me, like, I am a part of the community. Let me talk to you about my experience. But of
Yeah.
course, it's going to be like, no, that's not true. Like, what you're saying is not true. And then it's like, okay, like, there's no point in even arguing with you because, but, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so frustrating because it is so many hateful things and like false information are being put out there about against the LGBTQI plus community. And it's just like it's just crazy. It's crazy. But I will find that group on YouTube and send
Yeah.
it to you because
Yeah.
they're amazing. They have so many good conversations about so many controversial topics and they have like people from all sides and they're able to like go back and forth and it's interesting to hear both sides because
Yeah.
not what'd you say?
No, no, I was just saying, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, no, no.
But it is interesting to listen to both sides because, if there's one person on one side that's like for the LGBTQI plus community, it's interesting to hear what they say. But then the other side that they're against it, it is also interesting to hear their side, to hear like, where does this stem from with them? And usually they're able to be like, well, I'm a Christian and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, like and then they're like, let's dive deeper into it. And then it's like, it just is layer after layer after layer. And it's like interesting to hear where it all stems from with them, even though I'm like, it hurts me to hear it, but I'm like, I like to hear both sides. Like,
Yeah.
sucks that like, you were, grown up in that hateful environment. And like, anyways, it's really interesting. So
Yeah. No, definitely send me that, please. Yeah.
I will. I will definitely. Okay. So internalized homophobia, that can be a whole other like we should honestly do like a part 2 of internalized homophobia.
I would love that. Seriously. I would love that. Yeah. I would
Okay.
love that. Also, I just never want I feel like people need to hear it. They need to hear it
Yeah.
because one, it could help somebody who is a mother or father or parent or whatever of these people and learn more. But also more importantly, like it could help somebody who's actually going through it right now, which is yeah, it's really
Yeah.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's normal to feel these things. Like and that's what people need to understand. Like it sucks that we have internalized homophobia, but it's normal because of the society we live in.
Yeah. It's understandable you would feel that way when all you've ever learned was that gay's wrong. And it's not, but that's what we've learned. So it's like give yourself some grace and kindness that you're feeling this way for a reason and it's not your fault. And it's not bad and wrong for you to feel this way. But we can get to a place where we feel so proud of who we are. I'll get emotional thinking about it. But anyway.
Oh. No, I get it. Okay. Switching up. We're going to talk about your queer events, your little meetups. So you are in Scotland, right?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. And you told me it takes place in different cities in Scotland.
Yes.
Are
So sorry, you go.
No, it's okay. Are you ever planning on coming to America? Like to do
Oh,
events here?
listen. Between me and you and everybody who's listening, I would love to make this as big as possible and be able to do that. Yes, please. I'd love that.
Oh, that would
I
be
love that.
amazing.
Absolutely. And I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna shoot for the stars and do everything that I can to make that happen. So yeah, definitely.
Good. Okay, so we have you just had the event. We're going to talk about that in a second. She just had her
Yeah.
first event, people, and it went amazing. It was sold out.
Yay.
Period. But first, can you tell us sorry, my cat is sneezing. Can you tell us how you started this and what made you want to start this?
So well, the main reason that I started this was, I mean, I came out 4 years ago this June, so we're almost there. That's like a couple weeks away. Actually, less than that, I think.
Yeah.
So I have been out for almost 4 years, and I was just like, I have like no gay friends, none, you know, and as a queer person, that's a crime. You deserve, that's not okay. Like you deserve to have gay and queer friends. And I felt really sad about that. And I made a post to TikTok a few months ago, and it wasn't even about that, actually. I was just like, hey, I'm gay, and you might not realize because I'm really femme and nobody ever picks up on it. And I really want to have gay friends. And I don't have any gay friends. I'm like imitating everything that I said. And I just posted it to TikTok and I didn't think anything of it. And then it got like quite a lot of traction for, a smaller creator like myself. And everybody was like, oh my God, I'll be your friend. Like, I want gay friends. I don't have any. And I was like, interesting. Okay. So I made another post after that. And I said, out of curiosity, if I was to create a space and some events where we could find gay friends, would you be interested? And again, loads of reactions, and people were like, please, we need this. Please do this. And that was what this events company, Lavender Lounge Events, was born out of. I just realized I was not alone. Obviously, it's silly for me to think that, but I was not alone in my experience of being a gay woman and wanting to have gay friends and not having the ones in my life that I hope for.
It's so common for the LGBTQI plus community to struggle finding LGBTQIA plus people. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard. Like there's this other queer podcast here in Austin. Me and them were always in communication about like starting something like this in Austin.
Amazing.
And it's so true because I always post things on my Instagram or people reach out to me and they're like, hey, like any advice on making like more gay friends? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I don't really have an answer for you besides, like,
No.
social media is amazing. You feel so connected on
Yeah.
social media, you know what I mean? But then also you have to be careful with that. And so, anyways, it's
Yeah.
so normal. It's so normal
Oh,
to
yeah.
have a struggle, like struggle with finding people that are also in the community with you.
Yeah.
So, I bet your little events, like I bet that made people or your event because you've only had one, right?
Yeah. The launch one, the first one. So this is just like, this is the beginning. Who knows
Oh,
where it's
that's
going to go?
it's amazing that it was sold out.
Listen, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I posted I was on I remember I posted it and then I went live on TikTok because I wanted to obviously, bring some awareness to it. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe like 10 or 15 people will get a ticket. And that would be great and that would be cool and I would be so proud of myself. And then it sold out and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. I really, truly, I didn't know what to expect. And I feel so grateful and so lucky that people, you know, wanted that and took a chance on me and to give them that space. It's incredible. And yeah. And I might honestly, humble brag if I can,
Of
that it
course.
sold out and it sold out 3 times over. That was the wait list. Like my wait list was 3 times over the capacity.
So next event is gonna be a bigger place for more
Yeah.
people to come.
Yes. Yeah, I had people comment. People were like, I've got a Facebook group, Queer Friends UK, to connect people. And people were posting and they're like, has anybody got a ticket? Like, can I have your ticket, please? Like, I thought, I was like, this is insane. I was like, I
Oh.
feel like Beyonce, but I'm like, I'm such a small human being on the internet that, I couldn't believe it. And I feel so grateful. But yeah, it was incredible.
Oh, that is so cool. I bet you felt amazing. It's funny, I would have been like, did someone just like did one person buy all the tickets? Like, is someone trying to like fuck me over? Like, what is happening? Like, how is this sold out? You know what I mean?
I know. It just showed, but you know what it showed me? It showed me that there is such a need for this because one, I think that it's something that's really important to recognize is that not just for queer women, as in general in society as an adult, it is so difficult to find spaces to make friends. We move different cities for whatever reasons. We drift from friends from high school. We grow into new people. It can be hard in general to make friends. But then when you add the layer of being a woman loving woman and wanting to have people who get you on a different level and get your experience, that just is so much harder as well. And so it really showed me, okay, we really need this. We need spaces that don't always involve drinking. That was
Yeah.
the main thing I
Oh,
really wanted to emphasize as well. Yes, absolutely. Like there is a space for going to a club and or bar and doing drinking events, and I will host those events. But the main point of my events is to not do that
yeah.
because that's the place that we have that gap where there aren't many spaces where you can just go and sit in a room with other queer women and non-binary and
Yeah.
trans people who love women and just exist and get to know each other without being drunk. And I felt like that was, I don't personally drink myself. I've not drank in a very long time. And I thought, you know what, we need this. We really need this. And obviously other people thought so too, which is so cool.
I love that. It's funny, I don't drink either. So girl, go us.
Yeah.
I can put this out, but why don't you drink?
No, you're fine. I don't mind.
Okay.
I hate it. There's no other. I have never liked the taste of alcohol. I remember in university, I was on the netball team, which is also very straight of me, I think. Also
Wait,
not
what is it?
the netball team.
I don't know what netball is.
Okay. So I would say, I'll liken it to basketball. It's similar-ish, except you don't bounce the ball, you chuck it.
Okay.
And I don't want to. Hopefully, I don't get hate for this, but I think netball is notorious for being a pretty straight sport. Anyway, that's by
Okay.
the by. That's not the point. I was on the netball team, and we would always, the classic thing when you're obviously you guys have college, we have university. You go out, you party, and that's what you do because there's this expectation that that's how it goes. And I just tried to fit in, and I thought, yep, I have to do this. And I just remember being like, I hate this, but I did it. I did it for 3 years, and I was like, okay, that's just what people do. And I've never enjoyed the taste. I've always thought it was really unpleasant, and I've never found it enjoyable. So I spent last year. I think we're going to talk about this later, but I spent last year traveling Australia and New Zealand, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to drink actually. So let's just not. Let's see what that's like. And it's now been over a year and a half since I last had a sip of alcohol, and I'm so happy about it. And I will say, that's not to say I'll never drink again, but
Yeah.
I don't want to. And I don't really see a version of myself who's like, yes, I want to drink. So if that happens, it happens. But right now, I love not drinking.
I know, honestly, I'm the same way. I think I'm allergic to it, honestly, which is
Really? Okay. I was going to say if you wanted to share, I don't know if you've,
yeah, no, yeah,
yeah,
I'm an open book on this podcast. Like I
love
tell
that.
everything. Yeah, I think I'm allergic. It was weird. I was in high school and like I was drinking. Guys,
Yeah.
underage, don't recommend it, but you know, that's what I was doing. I was being safe. Anyways, high school I was and I was able to and like there was no reaction to my body. I was fine. I was chilling.
Okay. Yeah.
And then my like senior year of high school, I was drinking and I was pretty drunk and I felt like I was going to throw up. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Instead of throwing up, I like passed out and I had like a full on seizure.
Oh
Scared.
my. Oh,
And at first I was like, okay, like I woke up scared, obviously, but I was like, okay, I just drank way too much. I need to stop. Like my body is just like freaking out right now.
yeah.
But I was drunk, but I wasn't, like, to the point where, like, that should have happened. Like, I was still very aware. I've never blacked out or anything, like, that's one thing. Like, I would get to the point where I was, like, tipsy drunk, and then
Yeah.
I would stop. So, anyways, I was, like in my brain, I was like, "Okay, my body was probably just having a weird reaction. I didn't really eat that much that day. Like, Imma just give my body a second." And so, like, couple weeks go by and of course like a friend is having like a little party at her house and I'm like, okay, let me just try it again. I only had like one wine cooler. Same thing happened. And I was
Oh,
like, okay, this is weird. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then I was like, I'm gonna try one more time. Because I was like, of course in high school,
who
like
needs, yeah.
all of your friends are doing it and like I'm like the oddball out. Um happens again. And so I'm like, okay, and the 2 times, I was, like, chilling, like, I was not drunk, it was like, "I'm gonna drink
Yeah.
this one and just see what happens," and it was weird, it was like I would be, like, shaking at first, like, it's like you're cold, I would be, like, shaking,
Yeah.
and then I'd feel like I was about to throw up, and then I would pass out and have a seizure, it was crazy. So, the experiences were very scary,
Oh my God.
and what'd you say?
So I can't even imagine. That must have been terrifying. Seriously.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
so
very
sorry. Seriously.
I know, it
That's,
was really scary, like, and I'm, like,
yeah,
honestly kind of traumatized by drinking, and, like,
understandable.
I had this weird anxiety around it for the longest time, like, I dated this guy for, like, 5 years, and,
Wow.
whenever he would be drinking around me, I would be so anxious and sick to my stomach, and it wasn't because he was doing anything wrong, I just correlated alcohol to, like, something that was bad,
Yeah.
and anyways, sorry guys, you guys didn't ask for this.
We're going through a different spiel now.
But
Oh,
anyways,
no.
it was very interesting, it was weird, it was a weird time for me, and so
Have
I'm
you drank since? You've
no, all through college, I was
wow.
sober, and it's honestly great because I always had social anxiety going out, and so I would drink,
Yeah.
you know, during high school, and I
Yeah.
was forced to be in the present and be able to, like, socialize without
Yeah.
having, like, this drink, like, switch up my chemicals in my body and help me, like, be more, you
Yeah.
know, and so it was honestly really good, and I learned how to, like, have fun without drinking, like, there was a lot of, like, aha moments during this, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This was a blessing in disguise." Like, it was great. I was always the DD. I would always get my friends home safely, like
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so there was a lot that was kinda scary, but then there was a lot of good that came out of it, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very
That's
interesting.
so scary. I'm so glad that you're okay and that you haven't had that situation since then. But also, I love that it's turned into something more positive as well, because I think it is the biggest superpower to be able to be sober around people who are not and just be who you are. Like, I think that's so cool. So I love that for you.
Thank you. And it's honestly really interesting to be the sober one because
Oh,
of
yes.
course, when you're drunk, you, like, don't notice a lot of stuff that's happening around and, like,
Oh,
around you, but when you're sober, you're able to, like at least me, I'm, like, observing people, I'm analyzing them, I'm like, "Okay, this is" and of course, like, when you're drunk, like, you're not completely yourself, but I'm like, "Huh, this is how this person is when they're drunk," or,
yes,
"Huh," like, like, you learn more about people, and it's really interesting, and so
it is. I'm the same. I like to people watch. I find it very curious to see.
yeah.
And also, I just love that the next day when I wake up, I'm fine. I'm fine because
Um,
hangovers, let me tell you, that was probably one of the biggest reasons as well. Like they were horrific. And I just thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I just want to
yeah.
feel good. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like absolutely not. Yeah, and it's cool. There's like these what is it called? Like alcohol-free like spirits that people are coming out
Really?
with. It's like yeah, it's like in a liquor bottle, but there's
Yeah.
no alcohol in it and it's cool like Austin. They're starting to gear a lot towards mocktails and like
Amazing.
non-alcoholic stuff and I'm like it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like I love this.
Yeah.
Like so
I mean, I've seen when you're saying spirits, I'm thinking of like non-alcoholic like stuff that's like vodka. But I've
Mhm.
seen obviously loads of alcohol-free wine and ciders, and it's amazing. It's like yes, let's push the alcohol-free movement. I don't know if that is a
Yes.
movement, but so that people can feel good.
Hey, we can make it a movement.
We'll make
There we go.
it.
No, but yeah, it's very interesting. But
Yes,
yeah.
that was a tangent.
Yeah. Okay, so back to your queer meetup. Sorry. Let me just preface real quick, guys. To my listeners that are like always listening to my episodes, you know that like I go off topic. Like it's gonna happen. We're gonna be yapping about random stuff. Like people know when they listen to my episodes that there's gonna be like off the wall conversations, but I'm
I
sorry.
think that's great. And I think it's really great that we can do that, and then we're just going to bring it right back.
Yeah.
We can do that. It's great. I love that.
Yeah, as long as we bring it back, we're
Yeah.
fine, you know? It has to be a little organized, and I
Oh,
try. I just think of something and
great.
I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to talk about this right now."
I think that's just the art of conversation, isn't it? You have things, and then it triggers thoughts, and then you spiral into different avenues, and it's amazing. I love that.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so, how did you come up with the name? And yeah,
Okay.
tell the people the name.
Okay. So it's Lavender Lounge Events. Now, the reason I've added events there is just so that people know, like when they see that name on whether it be Instagram or TikTok, like that's it is an events company because it might not be very clear. But eventually, I'd love to rebrand as just Lavender Lounge. Um, and the reason I called it Lavender Lounge is that I really wanted to have a name that was significant to the LGBTQI plus community. And so, for those of the people that are listening who don't know, lavender has a lot of significance within the community. But the reason for me that I named it Lavender Lounge was because in around 1970, there was a group of lesbian feminists who were branded as lavender menaces, and in a really negative way, right? They were branded as that, but they reclaimed it. They printed it, lavender menaces on their t-shirts, and they owned that. And I, being a lesbian myself, I was like, you know what? This is a perfect word. So I wanted to use lavender and I wanted to do a bit of wordplay with it. And I thought, LL, okay, what could we do with that? Lavender Lounge. There we
I
go.
love it.
And that is why.
I love that it stems back to a different time. I love
Yeah.
that. I didn't know. I didn't know
Yeah.
that those women back in the day. That is so funny. I probably would have been a part of that group.
Yeah. And I love it. I think it's so common for like there's so many things that we just don't know because we are lucky to live in a better place even though we need to improve. We are
Yes.
lucky that we live in a better place. So I guess in some ways we've not had to learn, but honestly learning about all this stuff and the significance, I find it so fascinating. And I just love that. And I just thought, I want to, obviously with it being for women loving women, it needs to have some sort of name around that, and I wanted it to be unique. I wanted it to be different. I didn't want it to be like gay meetups, because
Yeah.
that's not you know? And so that was why I thought, right, let's brainstorm. And I brainstormed for ages. And then I thought Lavender Lounge. And so now I'm so excited. And the branding, let me tell you, I remember when I first started doing the branding, it was back in February, and I did this one branding and I thought, oh, that's great. I was so naive. It was horrible. It was so bad. It looked like it was so like from the 1950s, and I rebranded it before obviously I'd launched, and I spent so much time, and now I'm so excited about it. Like I love it, and I am very excited. So yeah, Lavender
Oh.
Lounge Events on TikTok and Instagram is where it is.
Yep, and you are in Scotland. So, I mean, for my people in America, I have people that listen from all around. So, if you're in Scotland,
Please come.
definitely, yeah, go to the events. But if you're not in Scotland and you're in America or Canada or South
Yeah.
Africa, wherever you are, you can still follow her.
Yes. Any support, honestly, any support and sharing means the absolute world to me. Every little helps. I've got one of my best friends, Grace. She's American, which actually she is an incredible human being, and she's the first person I ever came out to. That was some part of the story that I forgot to say, but she shared it, and I was just like, bless your soul. That's amazing. I appreciate that so much. So yeah, any sharing, and also if you happen to be from there and then you travel to Scotland, then you can come to an event. That would be really cool.
That would be
I actually had
amazing.
somebody from South Africa come, which was
Oh,
so cool.
that is
I
so
know.
amazing. So amazing. What is your end goal with this or like any
Oh,
future plans?
this is well, this is a great question. My goal is honestly to make these as well known as possible. I want to get the name Lavender Lounge out there, Lavender Lounge Events out there, and have people know exactly what it is. Like somebody mentions, oh, Lavender, yes, I know exactly what that is. I've been, or my
Mhm.
friends. That's my goal for it. I want to really create a space that is known to be welcoming for people to make gay friends, you know?
Mhm.
And I would love for these events to go elsewhere. I'd love for them to spread far and wide, you know,
Mhm.
Canada, America, like Europe. You know, listen, I am a big dreamer and a big goal getter, and I believe that half the battle of doing something is actually believing in yourself. So I'm going to believe in myself and really work hard, and hopefully I can make that happen. But yeah, I just think that being able to make this as big as possible is the goal, and ultimately give people that space, and hope that people go away from it and going, oh my god, I had so much fun. I
Yeah.
feel like I've started something, you know, a beautiful friendship with this person, and that they keep coming back because they're having a great time. So yeah, that's what I hope.
Yep. I love that. Social media
Yes.
slash mental health. We're going to kind of touch on both of those. So you started on TikTok like 5 years ago, and you said you mainly posted about mental health, including like, eating disorders, anxiety. You told me you struggled with an eating disorder. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, like you said, I started posting originally on TikTok about 5 years ago, and I was really struggling very intensely with eating disorders. Now, if we want to go back to when I properly started posting on social media, I was 18 years old, and I was posting fitness content. I was a qualified fitness instructor. I was working at a gym, and so my whole entire life revolved around the gym. And that was where I'd initially started posting on social media. And then I stopped because I was struggling so intensely with anorexia and binge eating, and just really struggling with, unfortunately, several eating disorders, because that is a very common experience that when somebody has an eating disorder, they don't just have one, it kind of morphs into another. So yeah, I started on social media. I was posting about my recovery and being really raw and honest about my experience in that and what that was like. And slowly but surely, people started following me because I guess because I was being so honest and showing that we don't have to just exist and accept that we're going to have an eating disorder for the rest of our lives. We can actually take steps to slowly but surely overcome that. And I was posting about mental health in general because, you know, it's such a huge part of our life. Every single human being on this planet has mental health, whether that be good or bad. And unfortunately, a lot of us have struggled with mental health issues, and it has been difficult. And I've struggled very much with anxiety, and particularly health anxiety. Health anxiety is not something that a lot of people talk about or even know is a thing. I think maybe now more and more people are hearing about it, but for a very long time, it's been like, oh, what's that? Health anxiety being at, like, it's honestly, it's horrific. It's, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So yeah, but the main thing was sharing about my eating disorders, and that was how I grew to a certain point, and it was incredible. I, to this day, I am so grateful for everything that that gave me, because if it wasn't for posting about that, I genuinely wouldn't have been where I am now. And I am very lucky to say that I'm recovered entirely, fully, and I really truly mean that. And I was saying to you when we were talking before that I think it's really unfortunate and it's really heartbreaking that I think a lot of people think that you will just have an eating disorder for the rest of your life, whether it be really bad or not, it'll always be in the background and be there. And I think there's a lot of lack of belief in being able to recover. And when I say I've recovered, I really mean that. There is not a single, and I say that and I'm like, I can't believe that I get to say that, because there was a time in my life I never would have imagined that. But there's not a single thought in my head that is affected. And it, there's, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I want for people to know that that's possible. And I want for people to care for themselves, because you deserve that. You do not want to go through the rest of your life waking up every single day, hating what you see in the mirror and taking steps to try and change that, because that's not living. And you deserve so much more than that. So that was a long-winded way to say that was kind of the story of me and how I came to be on social media.
I love that. I love that you were vulnerable, you were telling your story and people connected with you, you know? I love that. So you say you're fully recovered. So what
Yeah.
does that look like and what were the steps that you
Yeah.
took to become fully recovered?
So what that looks like for me is I intuitively eat. I eat what I feel sounds good to me in the moment. And there, nothing is ever off limits. And I think a lot of people here, when, people talk about that they go, well, if I was to intuitively eat, I would have pizza and chocolate for breakfast every single day. And it's like, no, like, that's not how it works. Like, if you actually allow yourself to eat, and when you sit down and you don't just immediately pick up something random, you just sit for a second and go, okay, what am I feeling like having right now in this moment? You actually will have a balance. You will have something that feels good for your internal body, that is going to be nutritious to help your body be really healthy in terms of like just being healthy in general. But you also be like, actually, hey, if I want to have a chocolate bar, I can have a chocolate bar. If I want to have a bit of cake, I can have a bit of cake. It's
Mhm.
that no food is off limits. And that when for me, if I do look in the mirror, which I don't really look in the mirror, because why do we need to stare at ourselves and pick apart anything? But if I look in the
Mhm.
mirror, I'm not going, oh God, this needs to change. I'm just like, this is how I am. This is how I exist right now. And whether that be bigger or smaller than where I've been at a certain point, it doesn't matter. It does not mean that I'm then going to go and try and change myself because I don't like what I see. I just go, okay, well, that's that. And we move on with our day and we go and eat our breakfast.
Yeah.
So that's what recovery looks like for me. Just actually having space in my mind to think about everything in the world that I want to do and achieve and go for. And none of that capacity is taken up by the eating disorder brain, which that takes up a lot. Actually, it takes up basically your whole brain if you have struggled with that, anybody who is listening. In terms of steps and how to get there, I think that unfortunately a lot of the system in the UK, certainly, I don't know what it's like in America, I just think there's a bit of a lack of understanding in what it is like to have an eating disorder and what it takes to get better. I know that unfortunately ED treatment here can involve going and you have to track everything that you're eating, and they weigh you, and that is, I understand why they might want to do that, but it's in practice really, really triggering. My biggest piece of advice is, first of all, like, you really have to want it. You have to want it with every ounce of your being. And I say that to anybody who I talk to about this. If you don't believe that you will not get it, that you can get better, you're not going to take the steps.
Mhm.
So you have to want it. You have to know that you deserve a life that is so big and beautiful, and that this does not need to be part of it. So I think it's working on yourself over and over and over again to get to a point where you realize that. Maybe you sit in the mirror, but not looking at your body, just looking at yourself and saying, I deserve recovery. And slowly but surely getting to a place where you believe that. I think following creators who promote really positive body image that is embracing everything, cellulite, rolls, stretch marks, and knowing that you are a beautiful human being existing as you are and as you show up. I really get really passionate about this.
I love it. No, I get it. I mean, it's your background. It's like this is what you went through. So of course you should be passionate about it.
Thank you. Yeah, following creators. I think ordering the book Intuitive Eating. It's Evelyn Tribble. I can't remember the names. In fact, I probably have it
It's called
here.
intuitive eating.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay. Yeah, you can grab it. You're good.
Yes, Intuitive Eating, a revolutionary anti-diet approach. And it's by, yeah, I was right, Evelyn Tribble, I think I'm saying that right, and Elise Ress. I don't know if that's how you say it. I don't know. This book. Get this, learn and unlearn all of the things that you have been told by society, because let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff that is so incorrect. Please, also, don't count your calories. If you have MyFitnessPal, delete it. Anybody who's listening, honestly, that is the most toxic thing. I know that sometimes it's been told in society that that's a really good way to learn things. It's toxic. So please delete it. And therapy. But find a really good therapist. If you are lucky enough to be able to afford therapy, or you have a way and a means to have therapy can be life-changing, but you have to be with the right therapist. Mm-hmm. If this therapist is taking approaches that don't work for you, find a new one, because it can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And that's my kind of piece of advice.
I love it. I love it. No, and the whole thing you said about therapy, it's so true. It's kind of like finding a relationship with someone. It's like when you're dating around, like you don't have to start dating the first person you go on a date with. You know what I mean? Like you can test it out. You have to, because your therapist is literally giving you advice. Like they're giving you techniques. They're giving you so many things to help you. And if the therapist just like isn't, what is the word? I was going to use the word like vibing, but that's not the correct word. I mean, it's along those lines. But if that person just isn't, what is it called?
Like, I guess like not clicking. If you're not clicking with the therapist and they're not, I know what you mean. I don't know what the word is, but if they're not giving you the right advice, it actually could cause more detriment.
Or if they're giving you advice, but they're just not coming off the way that you like for example,
yes, yeah.
I have been with therapists that are very gentle, and I love that, but I need more tough love. I need a therapist to be like, hey, this is what you're doing and this is what you need to do. Like, you know, if it's about something in a relationship and I'm like, I did this to this person, like I want them to be like, yeah, that was not okay. You need to do this, this, and that. Instead of being like, I understand why you did that, which that's still great. Cause like, but I want them to be like, this is what you need to do. So I'm like, heard, got you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. So your content is still very much mental health driven, but you've, you know, changed your little gears and now it's more queer content. You kind of like mesh them together, right? I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to start making queer content? Which I know like that's kind of like an obvious, but I don't know. Is there anything deeper? Like, is there a reason why?
Well, first of all, posting that video I was talking about at the start, which was about, you know, the fact that I didn't have queer friends, and the fact that it got so much traction, it made me realize that I guess there is still a space for that. I think in my head, I thought like it was so saturated at this point, but actually it's not. Like we need more queer creators, because every single queer creator has a different perspective and different value that they add to the social media space. And I don't know. It wasn't intentional. Like I planned to come back, and I kind of was like, I want to talk about it all, because, I say come back because I took a hiatus for a little bit. I took a hiatus because, and we're speaking about that in our pre-call. But yeah, when I came back, I knew that I had changed a lot as a human being, and that my world doesn't involve eating disorders anymore. So I didn't want, as much as it means a lot to still talk about it, I didn't want to talk about that only for the rest of my life, because I knew there was so many other things that I could share that could hopefully help people. So yeah, that was the main reason. And the fact that people, I slowly started noticing as I came back that the videos about being queer and a woman loving woman were doing so much better than the other ones. And it made me realize that there is such a space for that. And it's just now trying to find a balance of posting both, because I love talking about gay stuff. I really do. But I really love talking about mental health. And I think it's so important. And I hope that as my journey through social media and being back goes, that I can, continue to talk about mental health and hopefully help people. Because, yeah, at the moment, primarily the queer content is what is performing. So
Yes.
hopefully mental health will take off too, because I really
And
do.
mental health and the queer community, they go hand in hand.
I
You know
do.
what I
Yeah,
mean? And
exactly.
so I think meshing them together is really good. That's why, like, whenever people ask me, like, what is your podcast about? I'm obviously like, it's a queer podcast, but
Uh,
we really dive into the depths of, mental health, or like, X, Y, and Z. The people talk to me about what they went through. Like, it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be
yeah,
normalized. Like, people need to understand that they're not alone, and that it's normal to feel this way, but like, let's talk about how to get out of that. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, especially, and I know I just said this, especially with the queer community, because I, at least from my experience, the mental health that I have seen is because of hateful people that are being hateful towards the
yeah.
community, and then it gets in their brain, and they're like, oh my god, am I good enough? And then it creates so many, just like,
I know.
that's a whole other topic, girl. We can have like a part 3.
Oh my God, literally at this point, I feel like we could talk forever and there'd be so many different avenues and topics we could talk about.
Okay, so whenever I discovered you, one of your videos went viral. I kind of mentioned this right when I opened up this episode, about how the video was about you talking about your story. You didn't really go in depth, right? You just kind of
Yeah,
talked about how you had a best friend of 11 years. You had to cut her off, and it was just extremely sad.
yeah,
I won't say anymore. So I clung on to that. I was like, wow, I
yeah,
can't even imagine. Like, I've had friends that I've had to cut off because of their views on the LGBTQI plus community, but they were just friends I had for like a year or so, which it still hurts, but it's not like,
yeah,
so sorry. I want you to tell us, just from the jump, how did you meet this girl?
yeah.
What happened? And then I'll ask you questions throughout.
No, yeah, perfect. So yeah, like I said in that video, we had been best friends for 11 years, and I'd said earlier how I moved when I was 14 to a different high school, and I met her within the first few days of joining that high school, and we hit it off, and we became really close, and as the years went on, we got closer and closer, and she was somebody who was, I think the thing is, it's like cutting off anybody is going to be hard, but it wasn't cutting off anybody. It was cutting off one of my best friends. And I think a lot of people were really confused by the video, because they were like, what do you mean you've been friends for 11 years and she's just realized you're gay? No. So let me give some context to it. I came out to her January 2022. And I came out to everybody before that in June 2021. So kind of if you're trying to figure out the math here, the reason being, why do we think that I was so scared? Why do you think there was such a big while before I came out to her? Because I was terrified, understandably, and rightfully so in the end, for her reaction. And I remember I came out to her, and she was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't really a thing. Like, it wasn't really a thing. There was no like, I'm not going to be friends with you because of this, but there wasn't equally, well, this is great. I'm so glad that you are who you are, you
Yeah.
know? And so we stayed friends, and 3 years down the line, over the years, it just became more and more of a thing where I just felt like there was this unspoken uncomfortability when I would speak about being gay or anything about the community. It felt like there was something. And so must have been about a month and a half ago this all went down. I decided, I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I had slowly started posting more and more queer content on social media, which she followed. And, I felt like I was kind of holding myself back, because I was worried about, I was like posting my content through the lens of her in a way. And I
Mhm.
really didn't, I was like, this isn't right. I want to be able to post what I want to post and feel so proud of who I am. And there was just something about that that I felt really uncomfortable with. And I decided to ask. I remember we just sat down and I just I just said, look, I just want to ask. I've been out for a really long time. I'm curious to know, based on the fact that you are so, your Christianity, how do you feel about me being gay? I feel like we've never had this conversation properly. And I said to her, I was like, I'll be really honest with you. I'm really scared to talk about it, but I want to know how you feel because this is something that is huge in who I am. So I asked her how she felt, and I said, I know what your parents' views are, and her parents' views are very homophobic. Gay marriage is wrong. So I said, based on that, I'm just curious. And she said, well, Rachel, I have the same views as my parents. And instantly I started gaslighting myself. As the more and more this conversation went on, I went, no, I didn't hear that correctly. My best friend of 11 years hasn't just said that gay marriage is wrong. Like, surely not. And that conversation was on her lunch break, right? So we had to end that conversation. The reason it was on our lunch break, I really thought this was going to be fine. Would never
Yeah.
have had it on a lunch break that was an hour long if I knew it was going to go so poorly. So we leave it off there. A couple days later, we see each other, and she we're like at this beachfront. She comes to sit into my car and she's bawling her eyes out, and I'm thinking, oh God, my stomach sank. I was like, this isn't going to go well, is it? I thought surely it was going to be okay, but it
So
wasn't.
this is y'all meeting up to continue the conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the way we'd left it after that lunch conversation, I'd said to her, look, I just want to ask that you go away and have a think about this.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what happened. And we got in the car and she was really upset and she was shaking. And I said, right, I just want you to be honest with me. I said, I want you to tell me exactly how you feel. Do not lie to me. Not do not lie to me. Sorry, that's not what I said. I said, don't tell me what I want you to say. Tell me what you actually think. And that was when she said, she was like, I have a personal relationship with God. She said, I believe that God intended for man and woman to be together, and anything else is wrong. And I, and then yeah. And I just remember, like, I was kind of in shock. I was like, this hasn't just happened. Because I think because of that first conversation, I'd gone away thinking I must be wrong in what I heard because I couldn't believe it. Nobody's that outrightly homophobic, right? Wrong.
You would, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I was like, um, I said, I asked, is there any way that you would feel comfortable in unlearning this? Would you be willing? Because she was, I don't want to get it twisted. She was an incredible friend to me. This is what made it even harder. There was not a doubt in my mind that if I was going through a hard time, that she would show up 10 times over. And that was why I said to her, I want to know if you can get to a place where you're okay with this, because I love our friendship and I want to be your friend. Would you? And that was when she said, I have a personal relationship with God and I will never view it in another way. Never view it. She wasn't willing. She was not willing to love me enough. For me, I was like, if your best friend, me, is telling you, crying, I'm bawling my eyes, begging you to say, I will try and do this in another way. If that was not enough, if you realized that you were going to lose this friendship over it, I realize you are never, ever going to love who I am. You're never going to be okay with it because I'm begging you right now. And that's just not something you're willing to do. And I said to her, she said, I wouldn't, Rachel, I wouldn't actually be able to be at your wedding anyway. I'm not getting married. By the way, I'm not getting married. I need to just preface this, by the way, because every single time I look at the comments, people are like, congratulations on your marriage. She's so wrong. You deserve to be happy. I'm not engaged. I just meant at a future hypothetical wedding. So let's just say that. But she said she wouldn't be able to be at my wedding. And when she said that, somehow that made it even more real because I just thought I would have had you as my bridesmaid. Like you would have been in my wedding party because you were that important to me. And she just wasn't willing. And that was when I said to her, I was like, well, I cannot be friends. She said, but I want to be your friend. Like, I want to be your friend. Like, I still want to be your friend. I love you, Rachel. And I know you might find it confusing, but God still loves you. But I said to her, so God loves me, but God is thinking what I'm doing is wrong. I said, "So, do you think I'm going to hell?" And she said, "Well, I don't know what final judgment day looks like. So,
Oh,
yes."
goodness.
It's a sin, all of the things. And I feel, and you know what, to this day, I feel guilty talking about it. I feel talking to you about this, publicly speaking about it, I feel guilty because I love her. Everybody kept saying to me, they said, "Rachel, why aren't you angry at her? You should be so angry and you are just, you know, allow yourself to feel that." I don't feel anger. I feel sad. I feel sad. She was my best friend. I love her so much. Still to this day, I want the best for her, which I know not many people in my position would feel. But she was so incredible as a friend. And I feel guilty having this conversation because in my head, I'm like, well, what if she ever heard? I don't want to make her sad. But she never thought about for a second how I felt. And the fact that you have basically condemned, told me that my entire existence is a sin and wrong and yucky and disgusting. Every single feeling that I had when I was trying to come out, she proved that people think that.
And what's crazy to me is when she says like, "I want to be friends with you. I love you, Rachel. Like I want us to like continue to be friends." It's like, I don't think I'd be able to be friends with someone that has a totally different perspective on
Yeah.
certain things. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that she was still willing to be friends with you when she is
Yeah.
so against who you are as a person. It's like that quote, if you love someone, let them go. And like, I feel like that's what you did. Like, you had to.
Yeah.
You loved
Yeah.
them and you're like, "I love you, but like, I gotta let you go because what you
Yeah.
just said was crazy."
Crazy. It was. It still doesn't feel real. I'm like, that happened? Like those words actually came out of your mouth. Honestly, I think till the day I die, I'm going to be like, how did that even become a thing?
And it wasn't just like her being like, "I've never really thought about it. Like, it's something that I can learn, or it's something that kind of makes me uncomfortable, but I can still like learn about it." It
Yeah.
was just so matter of fact with her. It was like,
Yeah.
"No."
It was like, it's like, there was no gray. It was black and white. She was black. It was black. And it was like, no, this is just how I will be viewing it for the rest of my life. And that's just how it's going to be.
And it sucks that she just lost such a good friend because of her homophobic views. And what I'm thinking about her is she's probably thinking like, "Well, why couldn't Rachel oversee this? Like, why
Yeah.
couldn't she
Yeah.
like be friends with me and like just let this go?" It's like there's a difference.
Is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. It's so confusing how somebody who has such strong views on what is in their mind right and what is so wrong, it's so confusing that you would still be like, well, I'll just be your friend. And I had loads of people comment on the video like, well, you're the bad friend because she said she would still be your friend. And I just want to say to anybody listening here who may hopefully never have to go through this, but if you do go through something like this, let me tell you why I said, well, I will not be your friend. Because if you have somebody in your life who is secretly or not so secretly hating what part of you have hated for so long, it will slowly but surely peel away at you and you'll start to think, well, maybe it is wrong. Maybe actually it is wrong. Maybe I should be straight. Maybe me being in a relationship with a woman isn't right and I need to fix myself. Fix.
Yeah.
You are who you are. And the people in your life, you deserve for them to love you wholeheartedly and not care at all whether you're straight, bi, gay, transgender, or anything. And having somebody like that in your life is just not okay.
It's just
And it's not big.
negative.
It's not big of her to say, hey, I'll still be your friend.
Yeah.
You're doing that because you know me as a human being.
Mhm.
You know me and what kind of friendship I give you, and you want to have the best of both worlds.
Mhm.
But
I
you
would
don't get to
Yep.
have me if you can't accept all of me. Like it's as simple as that, but it's been heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like when you are in a friendship, like when you are in a relationship, whether it's friendship or like romantic, you
Yeah.
have to love that person fully. Like, how can she say that she wants to be friends with you when she doesn't accept who you
Yeah.
are? Like, who you are is you are a gay woman. Like, that
Yeah.
is you, you know? I mean, like, you obviously have other
Yeah.
aspects of you as well, but like that is you. And like if you, it's like what you said, if you continue to be friends with people that don't accept you and love you fully, it's either going to cause resentment towards that person and the friendship's just going to break
Yeah.
off anyways, or you're going to be thinking, okay, maybe I should try to shape myself into someone that does fit this friendship a little bit better for this person. Like this person, maybe she would love me fully if I, and
Yeah.
that's just not it.
And it might be
Exactly.
sad and it might be heartbreaking, but we deserve more than that. And yeah, I just think it's like, I said to her, I was like, do you think I'm going to turn straight? Like, I literally said to her, I was like, do you realize like I am going to marry a woman? I said, I am going to marry a woman and I cannot wait for that day. And I want that day to be filled with love and everybody there so happy. And I said, so tell me, if I'd never brought this conversation up and I got married in 3 years' time, what would you have done when I said, would you be my bridesmaid? And she was like, oh, well, that would have been a hard conversation to have. So you would have let me find out when it's the happiest time in my life, I'm getting married. And you would have just been like, well, no, actually, because actually that's why I missed in this whole story. She couldn't come to my potential future wedding because God would think that she was in agreement and that wouldn't be okay because she thinks it's wrong. And she wouldn't want God to get this misconception that she's accepting and happy for this situation. And I was just like, that's insane. That's insane.
You're like, I don't even know what to say to that.
No, I still don't know what to say. I
I
still
I
don't.
know. I know. I couldn't even imagine. And I think what makes me upset, and I like the way that you kind of put it, was she wants the best of both worlds. She knows who you are as a friend. You're a good person, you're a
Yeah.
good friend. She likes hanging out with you. And so she wants that. But I wonder what was going through her brain. And do you think she was wanting to hold on to the friendship because she thought it was a phase for you and like eventually you would like, you
I
know?
Yeah, this is the thing that I find confusing. When I said that to her and I was like, do you think that I am at some point going to somehow end up with a man? She didn't say anything particular to that, but there was just an energy to it, which kind of made me think maybe she did think that was going to happen. And I was like, this isn't a phase. I'm not confused. I absolutely love who I am. I absolutely love it. And it just to me is such a baffling, confusing thing. And I think that the only way that I can make sense of it is that she was holding on to the version of me before I came out. And she didn't want to get to know this new person that I am, that I personally have become so confident and so proud of. And I feel like we're taught in society to be so like not proud of who we are. You deserve to actually speak very highly of yourself,
Mhm.
humbly, you know?
Yeah.
And she didn't want to get to know that version of myself. So I just think that she wanted to have, yeah, that old version who she loved and knew so much about. And slowly but surely that person was not who I was anymore. And she didn't know so much that was happening in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's awful. It's awful.
And that's why r- I have such a indifferent view on religion because like
Yeah.
people that are religious, they can do so many amazing things. Like religion can be a good thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
not talking bad about it, but it's sad because this is why
Yeah.
the LGBTQI plus community steers away from religion because, and I'm not trying to like shit talk your friend, but because of people like your ex best friend.
She gives Christians a horrible name for themselves. Because, like you say, Christianity can be beautiful when it's at the core of what it's about and it's just loving people for who they are and if they find comfort in that. But she gives religion a bad name because it's perpetuating the idea that people are so judgmental, and it's not okay. Because I had so many people on that video commenting saying, I'm Christian and I love you and God would love you,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with who you are. And it's like, these are the people in the world that make people so judgmental of religion. And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm personally not religious. I don't love religion because of this reason, but I will never judge you unless you become judgmental of somebody else for simply existing. Be religious, have your faith, and love who you are and have that closeness with God if that's what you want. But if you then use that as a weapon against people simply existing in who they are and not hurting anybody, that's when I have a problem. And that's when I can't understand how you can have so much hate in your heart. Like, why are you holding that for people
Yeah.
who just don't exist?
And it's funny, like, when you ask them, like, when you ask Christians or, like, the conservative Christians,
Yeah.
why they think this way, it's usually, well, because it says it in the Bible. That's, like, always their
Yeah.
excuse, and it's like it's like, do we not realize that we are just worshiping a book? Like,
Mhm.
these are words that are in a book, and I don't, and again, I don't even know. There's controversy back and forth where people are like, it doesn't even say that in the Bible, and then there's some people that are like, it
Yeah.
does say it in the Bible, and I'm like, which one is it? But then I'm also like, I don't care.
I care enough to, yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel. I don't know much about it, and that's because, yeah. But what I will say is that the Bible was written thousands of years ago by men, from what I know,
Yeah,
by men, and it has been translated over
so many
so
times.
many times. You are worshiping over this Bible that you have no idea what was originally said, right? You don't. And it was by men. And that was another thing that she said to me. She had said when we were having this conversation, she said, Rachel, the Bible was written by men. So what it writes about, women's rights, I have an issue with, and I don't agree with that. And then fast forward, she's saying all this stuff. And I said in that conversation, do you realize that you are being hypocritical? Because you're saying that you're willing to overlook and to have opposing views in the Bible at something that affects you. But
Of
when it
course.
doesn't affect you, it's wrong. And sexuality that's not straight is wrong. Like the hypocrisy. So yeah, I just think so many issues.
It's so many, and it's hard for people to be able to sit back and be like, "Oh, I am being a hypocrite," because it's like they are in their own little
Mhm.
world. But
Yeah.
that's a good point. That's crazy.
Yeah, I cannot, you can't change people. They have to want to change themselves. And I asked her if she was okay with learning, and she wasn't. And can I say, let me say one other thing on this. Just as we were coming to a close on this conversation, she said, Rachel, can I ask you to educate yourself? Can I ask you to educate yourself into why I believe these views?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it just sounds like, yeah.
Like you want me to, yeah, I don't,
Yeah,
listen, it's so
yeah,
tough
you're asking me to educate myself,
on your homophobic views.
but I'm asking you to educate yourself on maybe just like being loving and opening your brain a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Girl, I
It's
know.
confusing. I,
It's
I, I just thought, wow. And through this whole conversation that I had with her, I was so kind and understanding and gave her grace. And I kept saying, I love you so much. Like, because I couldn't believe that this was happening. And then I went and reflected on it and I was like, why was I so kind? You were being homophobic. And I didn't even want to say that to her. You're being homophobic right now. Do you realize that? Because I felt like I was a horrific person for saying such a thing. But you are the one who's literally just said that my existence is so wrong. And it's, yeah, like I said, I find it so hard to talk about this because it's so raw still, and I do still care about her. But at the end of the day, this was my story, and this is what happened to me, and I don't want anybody listening who may have this happening right now or may in the future unfortunately go through this. I don't want them to think that they have to accept that and to be friends with somebody like that.
Have y'all talked since?
No.
Good. I'm so big on just it
Yeah.
needs what needs to be done, what needs to be said, and then
This is the thing. We left that conversation like, I guess we'll see each other sometime, because neither of us knew how to handle it. It was really weird. It was like a breakup, but
yeah.
like we're friends. So, and then I went and I talked to my family, I talked to my sister, and I reflected on it, and I thought, nah, I can't do this. I can't do this. So I sent her a text, and I was polite but firm, and I said, I hope you can understand that I'm going to have to unfollow you on social media, and I don't want to see you again. And that was it. And she didn't respond to that text. Like I've not heard anything since. And yeah,
Well, it's like a breakup, like you said. And it's so hard for people to break things off. Like breaking up with someone is one of the hardest things, because at least in
no,
my brain I'm like, I know that I'm about to inflict pain, not like physical, but like,
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
inflict pain on this human, and I don't want to. Like I wish I could just break it off and everything could be happy and amazing. You know, we're just gonna jump into hot takes. Okay, it's funny. My partner, and me, we're gonna be getting engaged soon. I already know it. So it's funny because I know I'm so excited. I picked out the ring and everything. Like I told her exactly what I wanted, and it's beautiful. I'm so excited. Um, my whole point is this is a hot take. Some people may not agree with this, but I told my parents that my partner is not going to ask permission to marry me.
No.
I said Jordan is not going to come to you guys and say, "Hey, can I marry your daughter?" She's not going to get permission from you guys. Not that I don't respect you guys. Like, of course, you're
Yeah.
my parents. You raised me. Mom, you birthed me. Like, I understand, but this is my life. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of traditional. Like, why does my partner need to be like, can I have your permission to marry your daughter? Like, why? Why do you need my parents' permission? I just think it's kind of a traditional thing. And I understand people that are listening may be like, that's just so disrespectful. There's no disrespect. My partner still went to them and was like, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. Like, do you guys have any insight? Like, do you guys think like I should do this a different way? Like, she still kept them involved. It just wasn't, hey, can I marry, or like, yeah, can I marry your daughter? Can I get permission? There's people out there that are still very traditional and I respect it, but I
Yeah.
don't really align with that. So that's my hot take.
I really support that. I fully support that. And I think that, like, first of all, it is really an outdated view. And like, you're
Mhm.
not a possession
Mhm.
to be given. Like, you are a human
Mhm.
being who exists and you have your, hopefully, well, we free will as much as we try. Everything that's happening in politics. But, you know, like, you are a human being. Like, you're not an owned human. Like, so I really respect that. I really do. I love that. And I'm so excited.
I
Okay,
know,
you
girl. I will keep you. I'll keep you posted.
please do. My hot take?
Yeah, girl, go.
Okay. My hot take is literally, which was similar to kind of what you've said before, which is that don't be afraid and do not think that you are a bad person for cutting off people who do not accept all of you. And that doesn't have to just be about sexuality. It can be anything in your life. It can be family, blood, you know, anybody in your life. Cuts them out of your life because you deserve to live a full life full of joy and beauty and have people around you who are your biggest cheerleaders and want the best for you. So do not be afraid to cut people off because they don't agree with you. Like,
And it's exactly, period. I agree. And it's normal to be afraid. Let me preface that it is normal to be
yeah.
afraid to cut people off, but
Oh,
just know that when you do, like better people will come along, you know?
yeah. If I hadn't done that, you know, I would probably have felt a bit more shame and or worry about the events. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and it was why I put it off for so long, is because of how scary it was to do that. But you just have to do it. And then you can be so proud of yourself for standing up for your, you know, your beliefs and what you think is right.
All right, guys. Well, that is it. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry this took forever. I know I've said sorry like 30,000 times, but I'm sorry it took forever. We could have talked about so much more. Part 2 maybe coming soon about internalized homophobia, maybe. But yes, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. Seriously, I have loved this. Every avenue that we've jumped through has been, yeah, such a delight. And I really appreciate you having little old me on here.
Of course. And if you want to drop your socials.
So my Instagram is at Rachel, and that's EL. Rachel Roberts with 3 S's on the end and an underscore. And then my TikTok is at Rachel Roberts with 3 S's. No underscore. Very similar. And then for the Lavender Lounge Events pages, it's literally just at Lavender Lounge Events on TikTok and Instagram. And that's it.
Amazing. And you guys might be hearing some fun little things coming soon with Lavender Lounge, and let's be honest, we'll see.
Oh, yeah. That was
We'll
actually
see.
smart.
We're just so excited over here.
I was very about this. Keep your ears and eyes peeled.
Yes, yes. Okay, so for my listeners, I post every Wednesday. I say this every single time, but I'm having some amazing people on coming up, so definitely stay tuned. And yeah, guys, all right, I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.